It's SDN cast number 66 today, and we have special guests, Mr. Dick Moffat and David Hoppe. And your hosts tonight are Marcel Meijer and Maarten van Stam, and it's today, September the 6th, 2017. And that's the wrong screen. Let's see.
Goed busy. There we go.
Have another one for the blooper reel.
But it was live, right?
It was live, yeah. Live and kicking. Hello, Mr. Moffat from... And David Hoppe from...
Hello there.
From the Netherlands. Hello.
Aren't we all? Oh, Mr. Dick Moffat, he isn't.
Oh, that's true. Is it still light out there? I think it is. Isn't it?
How's the hurricanes in Canada today?
We are not under threat at all. We're far enough north that it's not going to affect us.
Mr. Moffat is in-house, so no problems over there.
No, I'm in my office. Bugs. How are you guys doing there? Everything good? Was it a good summer weather-wise, guys?
Today it was a bit of a rainy day, at least in some parts of the country. Where I was, there was no rain, and there was, well, not really sunny or so, but it's not cold. It's not freezing cold like it used to be.
Canada. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Well, the mornings are
so. Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the morning it's colder, but not freezing cold yet. It's autumn fresh.
Autumn fresh. I love the sound of that.
It's like night and day.
It's meteorologically seen. It's already autumn, I think. So
we had summer here, and it only went over 30 2 days the whole summer, which has never happened. We sometimes have 6 weeks where it's over 30 every day. And we're in Canada, so we think Celsius, right? So yes.
Yeah. You use the right metrics, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
Well, we don't have much news. Only one item.
Okay,
I think.
bye.
Bye until next week. Let's see we have one item of news, and I already spoiled it in the intro because I picked the wrong screen. And here it is again. We are announcing Microsoft is announcing TypeScript 2.5. So all cheering, clapping.
Okay, I'm the only one.
Well, that's the news.
No, there's another news I read today that Microsoft will have a keynote about Surfaces in London.
On what day?
Somewhere in October.
Did you say services?
Yeah, about their Surface laptops and Surface books, etc. And it's not sure what they are going to talk about. You can imagine that they are going to talk about the ARM devices, but that's about it.
Let's see. I get a message on the Verge.
Yeah, that's one.
Microsoft is holding a Surface keynote in London next month, and there are a date with it. October 31st. So that's
the end of October.
That's Halloween, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yes.
That's scary.
It's always scary if they announce new hardware.
Wow.
Will it there be in time, and will it be of enough quality, or well?
And the interesting thing is that it's just after the beginning of school, so they're too late to sell these devices to school guys.
For next year.
But there's Christmas, isn't there?
Yeah, my guess is that well, probably they will do some announcements there and announce that they will be available for the holiday season.
Something like that. And it's about ARM, right? Your
Really?
screen is a bit blurry, so I don't see the text.
Yeah, I think we have I have an issue with my connectivity, I think.
Yeah, you have.
Very strange, because I probably am online already for an hour.
You used your data bundle.
Yeah, I'm on my limit. A little bit. Your volume is a bit low, Marcel.
Okay. Not anymore, I hope.
Well, we invited Mr. Moffat and David Hoppe for. We discussed it a little bit last week already. We read his blog post about a new product, XlPublish. Is that how you pronounce it yourself? XlPublish?
Yep.
Mr. Moffat?
Yes, we do.
XlPublish, indeed.
At first you releasing it in June, but I believe it was changed to September the 4th, and that was last Monday. So what's the news there?
It's available today, which is what, 2 days late? Yes, it's shipping. Right, David?
Yes, it is.
Yay!
RTM?
Yay!
It's RTM, right? Release to manufacturer or to market. Release to market.
Yeah. RTFM anyway, yes, whatever.
Read the fucking manual.
Yes. Oh, is that allowed on this? Oh, this is a broadcast, isn't it?
Okay,
Yes.
you get a ban from Google.
No, we don't.
Oh, no. But yes, that's what we've done. We spent the summer fine-tuning it and adding new features that we felt were absolutely necessary to come up with a fully functional, productive product. And we're really quite pleased with the way it's looking right now. And we're ready to go to the market and get people using this thing and seeing the value of it.
Yeah, and a couple of months ago, I saw a sneak preview of it, and I was stunned by the quality at that moment and the functionality on that moment. So I think it's a great product, and the market can use it very well. I think, but that's my opinion, and everybody has the right for my opinion.
Well, we like opinions like that, right, David? That's
Yes,
the kind
we
of
do. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Can we put you on our marketing now?
Yes, of course. It will cost you, but you can.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. No, we really, it's the old saying. I think we kind of like to think this could be a game changer if people buy into it, because it opens up a whole new class of users to the power of dashboarding with Power BI, and it can also be useful for people who are already using Power BI, because it provides capabilities that gives them access to a new capabilities that they didn't even exist before, and that's why we've built this in. Of course, our principal target is the spreadsheet market, which is a market that is it's a huge market, but it's also underrepresented in Power BI. From my experience, there's a lot of people have been trying to use Excel as a source in Power BI.
Yep.
And it looks great once, but it ends up being very difficult to produce a production quality data sourcing from Excel directly into Power BI. I mean, Power BI is fantastic, and its ability to draw pretty charts and all its visualizations are outstanding. But it's getting the data to it in the correct format, getting the data refreshed, And we looked at it and said, look, the main people funneling data into Power BI are pulling it directly from databases because they tend to be the kind of people who are inclined towards that. But there's literally millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people out there where their principal platform for collecting their corporate data is Excel.
Yep.
And I usually add the phrase rightly or wrongly, but no, rightly. And but they want to take advantage of this as well and be able to give their bosses the kinds of reports and visualizations that they and deserve. And the problem is that to do it the way people were doing it in Power BI is almost unapproachable for the vast majority of potential users. And so we've decided to build this add-in to say, how can we make this an easier, if not, in fact, an easy way to get data from your Excel file directly to your Power BI, and then be able to refresh that data as easy as we say 2 clicks, but it's really 1 click. 1 click plus a confirmation click. So that's 2 clicks to push the data up on a regular basis. And so who knows what the opportunity is for Excel people. Our job now is to find them and show them.
And show them the
Go
problem.
ahead. And that's the hard part. We have to find them. And we felt that
finding Excel, people using Excel, they're not difficult to find. They need to find us.
Oh, is that it? Yeah, but we need to be out there so they can run into us. They can run into us, right? It's like there's a whole bunch of train tracks and we have to stand on the one where the train comes down.
So what is your marketing slogan for XlPublish? Is there a marketing? One sentence?
Yes, there is. Just go to the website.
Yeah, okay. But can you repeat it online for us?
Go for it.
Okay, if you go to our website, it reads the easiest way to get your Excel data in Power BI. And that's exactly what Dick just summarized. And that's been our goal from the get-go, trying to lower the threshold and have regular people using Excel. Oh no, this is not our marketing slogan.
Yes, sorry.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's pretty effective.
That's Vimeo.
Yeah.
Is that live video?
Don't press the play button. It's just the header on top.
Right now in the background. But good start.
Well,
I've seen the video this week, I think.
Yeah.
So why
Let me
does it
just see.
work?
Oh, right. We're saying, David, we can debug right here in a live podcast.
Yes, we can. It's always allowed. So,
sorry, the video does not exist. Oh, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
This is so it's the easiest way to get your Excel data into the Power BI. That's your slogan. That's the part. And how are you trying to solve that problem? And perhaps we have to go back a step back. What is the biggest problem for all? I reckon Dick already told us what the real problem is, but can we summarize it in a few sentences? What is the biggest problem with Power BI and Excel nowadays?
Well,
these days?
if I can have a go at it, Dick, I think. Okay, no, the first pro of using Excel is it's so enormously flexible. People know the interface. It's part of all businesses all over the world, we think. And that flexibility, inherent flexibility of Excel, which makes it such a great program, is at the same time the greatest, this is the problem. because how do you get that data that can have any shape in Excel translated into a program that expects relational flat data structures by default? That's the start of the Power BI story. Now in Excel, yes, there's data, but it's messy data. So it needs to be transformed to get up to Power BI and work with it. Now, of course, Excel has its own tool for query, but we think the proportion of regular Excel users are not that deep into Excel to work with these power tools. So we reckon if we can make a piece of software that does this ETL process to take any kind.
I think you're dropping. Is it with me only?
There's
No, I can't. You're
like
you're
matrix
breaking up.
ranges.
You're breaking up a bit.
I'm breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making great points, but you're breaking up.
Okay, I'll try to be short. We ETL the most likely shapes that hold data inside Excel and push it up to a dedicated file that holds just flat tables, relationships, and a data model. Those three things that Power BI can talk with. Okay?
Okay.
Building a data model in Excel requires high skills in Excel. It's not that approachable to regular users. And this is the problem we try to solve with XlPublish.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. Great.
But the other thing, though, that's the data problem, but there's a secondary, actually there's multi-levels. The other interesting problem is that what people are doing in Power BI is they're taking an attitude that we're going to pump all of our detailed data to Power BI, and then we're going to let Power BI do all the calculations to come up with a chart or a couple of charts, right? And what we've realized is that for companies and corporations especially, need and should be doing is only publishing the data that they're going to show in their charts to Power BI, which is in the cloud. Rather than publishing detailed data, you just pre-aggregate ahead of time and pump it up there. And one of the best ways to do that, of course, is an Excel pivot table. And people use pivot tables. I've spoken to many groups where I say, how many people use pivot tables? And the vast majority do, but at probably just most of them in Excel itself without using Power Pivot and the data model, but they're using it. And they understand the idea that they really only want to publish the results of all their work. So in an Excel file, you could have a large Excel file that has a whole bunch of information in it, but only a relatively small part of that is what you end up with that you want to publish and show up in reports. And so that's another reason that we did this, is to say, you've got Excel, you're already aggregating all this information, either with a pivot table or even without a pivot table, even just using VLOOKUPs and typing it in. And we're saying we can grab any one of those items, and we call them containers, and we can push the data that's in there. Actually, we can scrape the data out of that container and publish it in a format that Power BI can consume. What's the phrase David used? Feed on, right? But and so like David said, Excel can be kind of an I say it's like herding cats. It can be a kind of a mess of information, but we allow you to take that information and publish it. Now, at the same time, we're assuming that if people have to understand that if you're going to be using Power BI, there has to be a discipline to your data sources, which means you have to have some discipline in your spreadsheets. So you have to take this seriously, right? You can't change everything all the time and expect your charts to look right. So there's a discipline and a set of best practices that, in a sense, our XlPublish is intended to enforce, so that you don't have garbage in, garbage out, so that it doesn't break all the time. And so there's not only the product itself, but there's also the best practices that it helps you develop and use. Because your boss wants the report next Monday to look exactly like it did last Monday, right? And so you want to be able to set up your spreadsheet so it's disciplined, and you can just put in the values or refresh the data sources, come up with a new set of data, and then publish that to Power BI. And that's what XlPublish is about.
Okay, and the power of Power BI is you can slice it, dice, and make it a big picture or a big graph, and then make it smaller and makes more details. Isn't there a risk that you aggregate too much?
And the risk is that the boss is gonna say, I want to go one level lower.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you mean? I want to go to a lower level of granularity. That we've got that. That's no problem. You just have to choose what the lowest level of granularity.
Okay. Yeah.
And in a business, you'd know what that is. My example I always use is if you have truckloads coming in and you want to have a report of your previous day's activity, you may be interested in how many truckloads and the total amount of truckload delivered, but you don't want to see each truck, right? You're not interested in who drove each truck in these kinds of reports. They're analytical, they're management reports, they're not query tools. So you're right, the risk is that you will make it too granular, but again, with our product, you can easily change that.
Yeah,
by just adding another level in your Power Pivot table. Or your
I think there's a distinction to be made. To use Power BI as an analytical tool, i.e. to use the drill down functionalities, that's cool for an analyst. But do you really want to publish a very down drillable dashboard to your management team that are sitting around a table in a boardroom and want to discuss the current status of their company? If everybody's has its own device and can slice and dice what they want, they'll be out of sync in no time.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good point. But what is your main audience?
Our main audience.
Is that management or what's your audience?
Well, our audience?
Yes.
Or Power BI's audience?
No.
Our audiences.
Well, our audience are all the spreadsheet people out there responsible for making those reports on Monday morning or Monday noon, because they have to work and they have to make sure that the numbers are correct. And even worse, they all the time have to copy and paste time and again the same routine, and it's so error how do you say, sensitive?
Prone.
Or prone, error prone. Sorry. They only, that little thing makes putting Power BI as a front end to their Excel calculation back end work. It makes it worth it. And if they along the way get more accustomed to data modeling, what Power BI is truly capable of, maybe the proportion of using Power BI the way it was intended to will also rise. But there must be some kind of bridge between spreadsheet-oriented people and like data-oriented people, because it's not the same. And it's a waste, because there's a lot of data and a lot of processes that live inside Excel.
Yeah. No, the vast majority of them live inside Excel. That's the funniest thing about it, is that the vast majority of a company reporting is Excel. And there are people who say, well, that's not a good thing. Well, I don't care. It's reality. And B, we all know that it's underutilized. The tools that are there are severely underutilized. People don't have the skills. They don't have the time to use or learn the skills. So what we've done to some extent is bake some of those skills into this add-in.
Yeah.
David and I in a can, right? And saying, here you go, right?
And there's a beauty in it because remember all the power add-ins that saw the light of day in the like early 2010, like Power Pivot and then Power Query,
Power Query,
all that stuff. Where is it now?
Mm-hmm.
It's still in Excel, but it's like publicly being sold as Power BI. Of course, Power BI has a lot more to it, and it's great. I totally love it. But Excel and Power BI, when used together, is truly a good match if you use it the proper way.
Because let me take that a little step further, David. Here's Power BI and Excel. This is kind of nice that you can sort of see my hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? I'm only seeing Marcel. Oh, where's my hands? Where's Marcel? I only see David now. Where were my hands? Oh well. It's all right. I thought I was seeing the show here, but anyway, Power BI is a visualization tool and a reporting tool, and it relies on data, like I said earlier, right? And so all we're saying is to get the data from Excel to Power BI in a disciplined way is not as easy as people think it should be or would ever be. And that is hurting the movement from Excel to Power BI. And I know it's hurting because I go into these companies as a consultant and I see the person who spent the last 9 months trying to learn Power BI and feeding Excel to it, and they're ready to tear their hair out because it is convoluted and it is complicated. I'm not saying it's bad, it just means that it's a lot of effort and there's a lot of yeah, buts and if-thens and all these things. Well, what we're saying is the only way this is ever going to really become popular is if somehow the bridge is made between those two texts. And I had this inspiration about, what, 3 years ago now, 2 years ago? And then David and I started talking about it a couple of years ago. In fact, I presented it to your people at least a year and a half ago, this idea, right? And now it's gone crazy what we've added in here, partly because we've stumbled on capabilities in Excel that were not obvious, which is nice, that are far more capable. Like, for example, you're going to like this one, David. David, in the last few months, sort of stumbled on the idea that, they've got a capability in Excel to publish directly to Power BI without having to go to Power BI and pull it in. We can push from Excel directly in, and it integrates with all the work we've done so that we assemble the data, collect it into our staging files, which are called target files, and then we just push it straight into Power BI.
Yeah.
The bottom line is then it's instant. If you refresh your reports that second, you will see the result right away. I can show you an example of that if you're inclined.
Right now, I think we are ready for a demo because we've talked about the functionality, we have talked about the problem, we have talked about the audience. Can you show us? Show me the money. No, show me the.
No, we can't show you. No.
It's not a real product.
It's proprietary. It's proprietary. We can't.
Well, just close your eyes now.
Yeah, just imagine.
And imagine.
Yeah. We'll have somebody over and have somebody shoot you after we're done here, so that you don't tell anybody.
We delete the file.
So, David, how do you want to handle this? Do you want me to show a quick example of an Excel file? I publish it, and then I see the results right away, just to show this is what happens. Okay, so let me try this. Let's share it, and this is my entire screen. Okay, share. All right, and this is. Can you see?
We see an Excel sheet. Yes.
You see expense trends, right? Okay, this is a And ironically, this is a standard Excel table, which is one of the capabilities of XlPublish. And what we're actually doing in this is parsing, and this is one of our features, we're parsing an existing traditional Excel report. You see how there's blank rows in between, and then there's the skinny columns. I call this the inchworm look, right? Which people love so much. Well, what we're doing in XlPublish in this scenario is we're going to take all of this data, and we're going to only publish the data that's important to Power BI. In other words, the data that's at the intersection of a number sign on a row and a number sign on a column. Therefore, in this case, I don't have anything in this cell because it's a skinny little cell. Therefore, it'll ignore it. It's going to take this data and turn it into a table. And let me just show you first how that works. I go to the XLP ribbon. Pardon? And I'm just going to show it working. Okay? I'm going to push this button. And what it's going to do is it's going to take this data, going to turn it into a proper relational table. It's going to then publish it directly to Power BI to a data set. That data set then is instantly updated in Power BI. Finished, it actually is going to refresh. I'll be able to refresh any reports that are tied to that data in real time. So it's closed. It's done, right? It says it's completed. Now I'm going to go to Microsoft Teams. Let's see what this says. 200. Okay. I made a mistake. In Microsoft Teams, see how the salaries is $250? If I refresh it now, I forgot to change it. So let's change salaries to $1,000. All right. And let's publish it again. You see, this was part of my demo. I didn't really screw up, right? I'm trying to be,
We know you.
Is that professional enough? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm republishing it with a change in my data. Now, what I've done is I've actually or connected to this Power BI. It's a very simple Power BI document inside Microsoft Teams of all things, right? I can view it in the browser or whatever, but I can embed it in Microsoft Teams. So I'm here in Microsoft Teams. I can look, in addition to other information, I can look at Power BI reports in my Microsoft Teams interface. So here's a nice big one, which takes longer. But this, by the way, this chart you're going to look at here is all based on XlPublish created data, and it has multiple pages in it. For example, this expense here, you'll notice it said 250 before. When I come back here, it should say 1,000. You see that? It changed to 1,000. So what happened is I refreshed the data in XlPublish, and my 1,000 became in Power BI because it pulls it from here, and it automatically gets refreshed the next time I refresh my Microsoft Teams image. So it's instant. Change the number in Excel, you hit publish. As soon as it's finished, cool, you get the results.
Wow.
And that was what I wanted to show first, David. Now, David, you can go and explain some of the background behind this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take it away, David.
No, well, can you then move your mouse, because I don't have my examples ready. I was like, Dig is in charge of.
I can do it for you. I'll be
the demos.
Yeah.
But
okay, which
like
demo do you want?
what we're looking at here? No, just keep this on. Let's first do this one. What we're looking at here, yes, we as we say, if we select range A3 to Z, somewhere there, one up, please. Yeah, to there. We told to XlPublish to tag this object that holds data. In this case, it's a range object. And you can tell it by the bottom left cell that has a special character in it. It says pound XLP.
Bottom right.
Bottom right, sorry. And well, XLP lets you tag ranges. As Dick just mentioned, it lets you unpivot those ranges, so you can just publish the raw data points in a tabularized format up to Power BI. For that, we designed this like or in spreadsheet code language that is quite easy, I hope. And you can preview it for instance, you can preview the result by clicking on that tag, and it will show you whether you got the code language right. So this is what XlPublish is doing for you.
What it's done, it's taken this row of titles, which are actually dates, and turned them into a field, and it's taken this range and turned it another field, and it's taken, in this case, the numbers at the intersect and put them into that field. Now this is a very simple example, but we can handle much more complicated examples than this.
Yeah, but okay,
subtotal, everything, right?
Yeah, true. But that's just ranges, because
that's all it is.
Remember, what was our primary goal? That was to make it easy for people that do spreadsheets to put their results up in Power BI without too much hassle, without changing their existing models too much.
Yep.
So we can also tell XlPublish to tag a pivot table, for instance, or a regular table, or even charts and pivot charts. Like all the objects that contain data or present data in Excel reports, we refer to them as data containers. Those are supported by XlPublish. And it's as easy as select that object, go to the XlPublish menu and hit tag, and it will put a tag like this.
Okay.
Successfully added the table to the source file.
So that's like the real core functionality of XlPublish. And that, in essence, is it's very simple in its essence. Then what happens on a publish? We run through all the tags inside this one source file. We turn all those tags into proper tables, and then send all those proper tables up to a target file, a special file that just has one purpose: to hold the data needed to be reported in Power BI. And these target files are made up of those data. They also contain some info and audit trail and history, just to be on the safe side. What we also do is enrich those target files with a data model. Each table in a target file is added to the data model. And what we also have, if tables share a common field name, we detect relationships. If there are any relationships, we will establish them.
Cool.
Right during publish.
Think about that. Think about that.
That's like the same functionality as Power BI or Power BI Desktop grants us, but now it's in Excel. I thought that was a nice feature.
But it's more than that. It's based on the content of the fields, not on the field names. In Power BI just matches on field names, but if you do it in XlPublish, it matches based on the content of the fields, and it looks for the one side.
No, it's matching on field names.
I guess that's it. Yeah. Well, can you cut that piece out? Yeah.
Well, but there's an interesting thing. We allow people to open up target files, which are normally totally locked down. The workbook structure is protected. All sheets are protected. You can't change anything. But if you open a target file from within the Excel or the XlPublish add-in, it will open up that target file, so you can enrich the target file, the target file's data model, I mean, for your specific to your specific needs. So, for instance, if XlPublish failed to establish a relationship because the field names didn't match, you can easily model the relationships just in the target file. And we built a special function for that called uLookup. uLookup is in the ribbon. Can you go to the ribbon?
Yeah, let's in
Dick?
fact, yeah, there's uLookup. Click the table and show them that if you wish. Here to
Yeah,
the
you should
original
first
file.
select a cell in one of the lookup columns, but
here we
we should
go.
have two. Well, whatever. uLookup was designed to make establishing a relationship like a two-click action, as opposed to the, I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 click actions from the Excel data relations feature. So it's more close and more easy for people who were accustomed to build VLOOKUP formulas in Excel. That's why we chose to build it in. And then
and that's why it's called uLookup.
Yeah.
So it's people who are used to VLOOKUPs can understand the
it's
concept.
like power to the people. That's that will be another marketing slogan. Power to the people. Now there's a nice uLookup. There's a little touch in uLookup it will establish a relationship even if the parent table, the one side, is contaminated with duplicate values. And I've been teaching Excel and the data model to people, colleagues, and every time a new user is trying to establish a relationship in an existing spreadsheet model in which they have lookup tables and they fetch those values using VLOOKUP, making a true relationship up in the data model often fails. Why? Because the lookup tables contains duplicate values. They creep in over time, and VLOOKUP doesn't care. VLOOKUP is just finding a match. But Power BI...
finding the first match.
First match. Yeah, and Power BI does care, right? The data model does care. But a regular Excel user, they'll be like, this functionality, I don't get it. It doesn't work for me. Let me use VLOOKUP because it's always done its job. And it's that they are totally capable of making their reports using the old technologies. But if we can show them just how much more powerful that this technology can make them, the technology that sits right under their hood, it's in Excel already. For organizations that got in Office 365, all employees already have a Power BI account. It's incredible. Right. It's already there. It just needs to be connected, and it's exactly like this, like Dick did. It's not that easy to make those two match.
No.
Right? But what I did is think about what I did, guys. I selected these two tables, which are basically the one side of the one to many. These are like your dimension tables in a data warehouse, and this would be, for example, your fact table, which is tied to, it has a product key and a department ID, and then you go here. And if you choose department ID, then the name and the employees, etc., is in this table. It's a classic one to many. When I tag these items, going tag, they're now in Publish's manage. This is the manage dialog. When I republish them, it actually went and created these tables in the target file. So now, if I want to make a relationship between this table and the data, is go to my either one side of this and click on you lookup, and it says, where is the other side of this? And you say it's here. And you click select, and it actually creates that relationship for you automatically. Now, what's nice about that is that that relationship, it says you've successfully created a relationship between product key, the one side, and table data product key, the many side. Got it. This will pass to Power BI next time you publish to Power BI. Next time you hit XLP publish, boom. And so if you then use these two tables in your Power BI, say one side as a slicer and the other side as a report, you've got the advantage of the one-to-many relationships right in Power BI. Now, in order to do that otherwise, you would have to have the exact same field names in both tables, which isn't always the case. And you would, this way, you would have to then create that in Power BI Desktop. Now, there's nothing wrong with Power BI Desktop, but this will work directly in PowerBI.com. Yeah. And so the relationships this relationship is inherent.
Yeah, and then building the relationships could also be done from the data menu, but it has a very clumsy dialogue, or from Power Pivot if a user has Power Pivot, access to Power Pivot, and have Power Pivot installed. And it just requires
a lot of work,
a lot of skill and time investment. Now with ULOOKUP, you can just go click, select your lookup column, and bam, it's established. But there's a little thing in there. ULOOKUP will a dirty lookup column. So if there's duplicates in it, it will clean the duplicates. And the other way around, it will also look for instances of or items inside the many side that are not represented on the one side and add them. And the trick with each publish, what we're doing is we're running through all relationships in the target file and repair any broken thing right there, so that the Power BI or the data model that gets pushed to Power BI is always intact and will flag duplicates and twins. So people can then very on target mend, or how to say, repair their source files. Because I did a lot of redesigns of existing spreadsheets that had big manual processes around it, and made it one clicks, or like refresh it one time. Every time these models break, it is always about a lookup table, or dimension table, as Power BI folks would call it. And for Power BI folks, for people who are into data modeling, of course, like maintaining your dimension tables is key. But Excel folks are not accustomed to that kind of thinking. So we got to point
kind of discipline either.
Yeah, we need to point to those tasks and make it so easy to see where the fix is needed.
Well,
this, for example, said XLP great.
Marcel had a thought on this, Mike.
No, well, it looks very easy because it's just in my environment where I already work, and it's just another. I think you need some education to know about XlPublish, but if you get that, then it's easy, and it is easy to use, because it's running in your environment. You work all day, like an Excel user, and it's just another menu on the ribbon bar. And not to be too downgraded but it looks rather easy. I think I can work with it with some.
It's intended to be easy. It's intended to be easier, and it even, if Marcel can use it, anybody can use it. Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we've been pounding our heads trying to make the technology work. And now finally we're live, and all our efforts are going to be about getting the message out and learning people how to do this. So we like in let's say a year from now, we definitely will have an e-learning program that will take you through the basics, the intermediate and advanced ways of using XlPublish in the middle, with a set of best practices and tips and tricks on the Excel side, as well as on the Power BI side, because it's like 3 parts that do the dancing.
Yeah. Well, you
let
already
me
have
show-
a
let me-
quick start Excel, I see. So
Is if I go here and I publish this again, remember the changes I made, that I added a relationship. What I show you is, see, it says PBI refresh. It's publishing this. I just created this. This wasn't created before, the Power BI data set. And what time is it now? It is 2:52 my time. What, 8:52 your time?
Time is it?
Yeah.
Oh, now
Time is
to
8:52 p.m.
oh, that's so cute. How can you do that? How do you make that voice, Maarten? It's amazing. It sounds just like a woman. You're a ventriloquist. All right.
he's just very proud he is using an Android phone.
Yeah, obviously. He likes his toys. Now look at this. This actually is finished and it's published. So now here's the secret. If I go to Power BI and I go to my workspaces and I type go to data sets. Now this is the kind of stuff ultimately you have to know how to navigate in Power BI. And I go here to what was the name of that file again? Quick Start. There it is, 9/6/2:52 p.m. What it's done is it's actually published this Excel to Power BI. And here are my tables, and here's a table that we create in every file, which is table info, which has a list of every single every single table in the file, every one.
Dick.
Yeah.
Make it a
What?
card.
David. What?
Make it the card visualization. That's the easiest. The card. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Whoa. Yes.
How
Isn't
about
that
that?
sexy?
That's sexy and
Now-
easy.
So what it's saying is this was last refreshed at this time. So if I go
And I
back
know-
here, I don't know if I agree with that, but anyway.
Wait,
you know.
Dick.
What?
Pull city on there. We want to see a map visualization. Something sexy. We've been looking at Excel all the time and
Oh, you
four
mean
old
links?
farts.
Oh, okay.
We need
I
some.
get
At least we had a woman's voice.
that.
Now we want some curvatures. Please do a bubble map.
We're going a bad direction here. Okay, so let's go here, and let's go
we
here.
are
and
following
say
your lead, Dick.
Canada. You mean this kind of thing? You mean and Netherlands?
No,
You're talking
no,
about
wait. It's
oh, well,
already
where do you-
it's
where do you-
already in Power
it's-
BI.
it's- Oh, I see what you mean. It's okay. We just show an example that we have here. Okay, yeah. So if we go here, yeah, don't say. So I have workspaces, XlPublish here. Yeah, this will work, assuming it's still intact.
Of course.
What we've got, what you're saying is a map in Power BI. If you have your data properly structured, you
Yeah.
can show this.
Yeah, but it's in the
Which is-
quick start already. So
Is it in the quick start?
yeah, it is.
You mean
In
the
Word, my
oh, okay.
workspace.
Oh, in the quick start.
It's already. We have Amsterdam, Paris, and Hamburg.
Oh, you're talking.
Just-
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
drag those on.
Yeah, okay, I'm not thinking properly. Let's see. Let's go. This is a casual get together, boys. That's the whole idea behind this, right?
We're just drinking beer and having
We're
a
just
This
drinking
is
beer
how
and
Dick-
works. This is how Dick thinks. Okay, so look up one
as a country.
city, country, right? Oh, here's your countries.
Woo!
And then let's go to data and let's add
Woo-hoo.
and quantity. Okay, but
Did you add the
value
relationship
is-
between that table or the other tables?
It's I see what you mean. I think it was actually this table. Oh, that's too bad, but it may work anyway. What we're saying? Let's try this again here. Let's go.
But the main part of this demo is, I think, we had data in Excel which was not formatted and not sexy.
Yeah,
And with-
true. Yeah, you're right. I know.
And with Power BI, I can make it just as sexy as Maarten.
Because you're so familiar with Power BI already. But from our perspective, what we really communicate to our target audience, which is Excel users, we want to show them Power BI and how they can make their boring Excel reports something professional looking, something amazing. If they show it to their boss, that is going to be something cool.
Yeah, without them
Right.
needing a visual people or UI users or something like that. They can
Actually,
do.
there's two issues there. One is you don't have to have a professional graphic designer to create your charts, is one thing you're saying. And the second thing is you don't need to get involved with DBAs and servers and firewalls, because this goes back and forth through the firewall.
Yep.
That's the whole implicit idea. If you're going to bring data through a firewall, you have to have a data gateway, and a data gateway means you have to get approvals for installing a data gateway and having access to your source data. And with this way, one of the good advantages is if you have stuff like information about employees, it's in a table, and then you aggregate that data by their job type and their age, nothing to do with individual employee data, then you just publish the resulting report to Power BI, and so their names and their sex and their age and where they live doesn't get sent over the firewall. All that gets sent over the firewall is the report that you want to show. And this is by country, but it'll also work within a country by city, right? And the usual graphical. And in fact, there's custom visuals that you can choose, import custom visuals that go way beyond just this default chart of mapping.
Yeah.
But that's Power BI features, and like another very important feature
Here
I
it
think
is right here.
of XlPublish is that yes, we pre-aggregate the data and just send up the data points that need to get reported. As a result, the files or the kilobytes you send up in the cloud, it's tiny. You can keep our target files there. They're like real tiny, consolidated, condensed little pieces of data and data models.
It's not that you put all your ground URLs in the cloud. It's just what you need for a reporting or for your audience, the final audience of the Excel user. Because they don't do it. They know their Excel sheet and they know how to work with that, but they have to report to someone else, which is less educated in Excel and needs this kind of management porn. And this is how they can look at it.
That's the word I use, but yes, that's. it's I don't think I'd use. Yeah. Well, I tell the example of I was working for a big brewery for many years. I worked for a major Canadian brewery, and somebody showed me a report, an online report, and he said the president can drill down and see exactly how much of this particular brand he sold last night in that bar right across the street. And my answer, why would you do that? Why would the president care about that, right? The president cares about higher level analyses, right? And that's what we're talking about here. The ability to pre-aggregate your data to the level of granularity that you want, like you said earlier, and publish just that information. So it's auditable, it's manageable, it's got all these things. You see this? See how that says Netherlands, France, and Germany? By the way, if we go back to our original file, this table is France and Germany. Actually responding our
To your selection.
how
yeah.
cool is that? So this is SDN 01. I'm going to save this report and watch this. If I'm in Power BI, I can go, I'm in Teams, sorry. I can now go in Teams and I can choose
There it is.
did I go by it?
Yep.
It's in alphabetical.
There it is.
Alphabetical order, you know, that's sort of there. Usually that's how it works. And I'm just saving it in. And now this same report is in Microsoft Teams. And so if I change the country, wouldn't that be cool? I could do that right now. I could change the country. Great. Wow. Let me see what happens if I run a refresh.
Yeah, probably the plugin is not working. And
Yeah. Oh, for embedded visuals, it's not supported. That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to just do a standard one. That's exactly the same. Country, city. There we go. And I'm going to save it again. Jeez. Sorry, guys. All right. Now I'm going to refresh it.
And there we go.
And it should come up. So you see how flexible this all is, assuming it comes up all right. There it is. Yeah. Again, the joy of this is all. See, this is Amsterdam, Hamburg, and Paris. There's our Hamburg, Paris, right? Wow. Did I hear wow?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Alexa, wow.
Wow.
Doesn't understand.
And this the thing about it is that if you have your data in your Excel spreadsheet here, you just change it in your Excel spreadsheet, add a new country, publish and hit publish, and it changes. So if we go, what is Great Britain is probably GB. I don't know.
Yeah.
UK. What?
And then change the city as well, because you might
Oh, that could be a problem, eh?
confuse Power BI.
Yeah.
I think so, because you're using both fields.
Could be New Amsterdam.
All right.
Or it will create a new city for you. That will be fun.
Yeah, there
Somewhere
you go.
in between Amsterdam and the UK.
Yeah, with 3 million people. Yeah.
Well,
That's powerful. I tell you.
UK can use some new jobs. Cities.
Maybe it's good. But wait, Dick. Maybe it's good to we can look at the example running, but time's running out, and I think we should point to some other aspects in the add-in, because as we've been seeing, Excel users are now in control of pushing the data to Power BI instead of relying on OneDrive or SharePoint and Power BI to pull it to pull it. We can push it now, so it's powered to the Excel user. They are in control. Now we've also thought about more like professional scenarios where XlPublish can be an instrument to power and refresh data up in a server database. So we build in the capability to push your data to a server. That could be a local server, or for instance, an Azure server.
Mm-hmm.
And Power BI, of course, is very adept to talk with Azure. So all those things are also inside. We thought of a lot of scenarios to accommodate and get the best bang for the buck for the XlPublish target files.
Cool.
Now, what's cool about this example that David just talked about now is look at when I publish this, it is both going to save it to my workspace in Power BI and also to my local server. And because I typed in AD, it's going to assume I'm using Active Directory. And if I have the rights to write to go to that database on my local SQL server, it will do its thing. And we have documentation online, or will soon, that explains to you how you have to manage it. But it's,
Yeah,
the thing
that's
is that
good.
our product manages it all for you. We
Yeah, and
create
it's-
the database. We create everything. Right.
It's good to
Go ahead.
mention now. It's good to mention now. Dick, can you show your screen? That in our
I thought I
dialogue,
was. I thought I was. Oh,
you are,
okay.
you are. In our dialogues, the titles, most of them are clickable. So if you double click some title up in the main dialogue, it will take you to a tutorial post where there's the first content we published, which we will be enriching and improving in the coming months. So I expect a lot more from us.
That's a good thing.
Wow.
That's a
So,
very handy feature to do.
to help on how to tag data source file with pretty pictures and text, and ultimately, like David said, we'll have videos on how to do it.
Nice, nice.
So
Cool,
do I
huh?
need any code to write to make this happen? Or is it just clicking things
No.
together?
No code. Codeless, right, David?
Yeah, codeless.
Totally.
But we will be publishing some Excel tools that will leverage the publish and like we also have a workbook analyze function that you can run as a batch against like a population or a folder of target files. So as an administrator, you can have an overview of all the data being pushed up using XlPublish. And that will contain some code.
Yeah,
Gonna
so
have, and
he is installing the add-in. If you go to your website and let's see, if you go to your website,
so, yeah,
it's
go to my
showing
website.
a trial version here. Eh? What do you get with the trial version?
My screen. You get the whole full meal deal.
So what's trial on the
Meal
trial
deal,
version?
but you get to use it for 30 days fully.
Yeah, so it's
At the end of 30 days.
Yeah.
At the end of 30 days, you either license it from us at $5 US a month. That's all it is. And for a developer version,
That's a user-based license.
that's a developer license, yes. And if you're going to give files to other people who are going to fill in data and just publish, not develop, but they're going to publish, say you put it in another office somewhere 1,000 miles away, and then they publish to a SharePoint site. So by the way, there's an interesting, again, here's a teaser. You can create a target file, which then becomes a data set in Power BI, and you can feed tables into it from multiple source files. So you can have multiple files feeding into one data set in Power BI. Second of all, we've built a function where if there are tables that are the same, so for example, if you have multiple offices feeding in their daily sales using a daily sales table that looks the same in every way, we will merge those together. They get merged automatically by XlPublish, so that when you pull them up in Power BI, you have a choice of looking at each individual table from each office or the merged table, which has them all pulled together.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And if you are so inclined, it's also very much possible not only to enrich the data model inside target files using the Power Pivot add-in, but also to put Power Queries using get and transform and enrich the target file to your specific needs. Everything will get refreshed. Everything will get pushed up to the cloud, to Power BI service, and there's no data gateways needed. Everything just works fine.
And all the stuff that people are doing in Power BI desktop right now, creating DAX functions and measures and relationships, every last bit of that can be done inside your target file. And then every time you refresh the data, it uses all those relationships and all those queries to reconstitute your data and publish the results up. So for example, you could have individual tables coming in, and then in the target, you could build a transformation to come up with some other table, although we do that for you to some extent. And then that's all you use to do your reports in Power BI. We don't care. And every time you hit publish, it'll just refresh all that data all the time over and over again. So that in the end, all you need to do is click publish. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And maybe a last, then, because we're running out of time, I guess, a last really cool thing is we're pushing data up to the cloud, like Power BI service. But if you want to use desktop, because it has so many more cool features, you just connect to the data set using the new feature that is in preview right now, which allows you to pull data sets from the Power BI service. And that, in fact, it makes the circle totally round. We have Excel, we have Power BI service, but you can also enrich that using Power BI desktop. Or maybe in the end, migrate your Excel solutions to true PBIX files, which is a very noble goal, but it's quite some time. It's time consuming to redesign Excel solutions that exist already into PBIX files.
Really difficult.
It's really difficult, but in time there will be more models running in Power BI desktop, sure. But for now, why not utilize and make use of the opportunity of all the data that's being contained in Excel spreadsheets? It's just Excel is a, how did you say this, Dick? It becomes, Excel is a provider of one of the sources.
It's a data source.
It's a data source.
It's a data source.
Just another data source.
It's a provider. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And can you see my screen here, by the way? Make it so you see my screen. In here, I can go here and say my workspace, and I can go to the bottom of this list, which is for some reason not in alphabetical order. And I'm loading Quick Start, the one we just created, into Power BI desktop. You see at the top here? And now here's all these same exact tables, and they're actually, though, being sourced from, you publish your data to powerbi.com to what they call the Power BI service. Then in Power BI desktop, you draw it all back in. Now, if you do that, you don't have access to some of the functions in Power BI desktop, like relationships and stuff. Hey, you can do it all in using XlPublish and Excel. There's really nothing missing.
Yeah, and
in using Excel. How do you figure that? But it's true.
So in our world, the XlPublish world, Power BI, we exploit the canvas capabilities of Power BI to breathe life into our dull spreadsheets, which is just the back end.
Yeah.
Well, how's that for a summary?
Yeah, very good. Now, I want to make one last point before you cut in, Marcel, and I know you guys have been good about not cutting us off as we're babbling on, but prototyping tool. This is a production tool. The goal of this is to actually have Power BI solutions fed by Excel that are actually production. It's not a prototyping tool at all.
No, it's the
real deal.
It's the real deal without intrusion of your production data.
Exactly.
Yeah, I listened, and that was a deep.
Yeah. Well, we
put Maarten to sleep, I think.
No.
Almost. Yeah. Well, we're 15 minutes after the hour, so I think it's time to wrap up a bit. Put your camera back on, Dick, so we can see.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Oh, there.
There you go.
Wow. Oh, I'm even not on the screen.
I'm still old.
No, you're a young fellow from London, Ontario.
Well, usually we have to finalize the episode of our SDN cast, and this was actually our number 100 video that we
Oh,
are
I'm honored.
on YouTube today.
Mhm.
But we usually have a swag of the week item in our broadcast. But today,
Rapapa, 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 rapapa.
about a special thing. Maybe Dick is maybe recognizing it. It is
Excel.
a real box of Excel for Windows.
It's
And
from
if
the
you look at the version, let's see, it's the Dutch version for.
2000.
Can we make it visible?
Your screen is
It's black. Oh, there you are.
not seeing
Excel 2.1.
it. X.
It's Excel 2 for Windows.
Excel 2.1. Wow.
Wow. For Windows, not the DOS version. Let's see what's in the box there at the time, because it's pretty
I
heavy.
see nothing.
It's
Yeah,
very- oh,
Maarten has a problem with his internet connection, I think. A bit.
well, there is
We would
there's a book
consider
inside.
throwing in a free copy of XlPublish, wouldn't we, David, to somebody? What do you think? Or at least 2 years of free, or a year of free use of XlPublish?
Sure,
How
of
does
course.
that seem?
Come on, this is a
I
special
think you
occasion.
already
where
lost my screen.
Yeah,
it's our treat, of course.
And Marcel and Maarten can't qualify.
No, well, we don't.
There you go.
Well, leave your name in the comments, and we will pick a winner and transfer the winner to David and Dick. Yeah,
And we'll get you set up. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
That may take a while because our current audience is not many, I think, but in the coming weeks, months, there will be more viewers of this episode.
Can we link to this on our website if we feel that it's
Sure,
not
you can, yeah.
not too embarrassing, David? What do you think? I don't know.
Of course you can.
No, I think Dick, we need to get accustomed to embarrassment. I think we should make it a
Yeah.
race to the most embarrassing moment, and then
Actually,
by
that'll
2018, I will have to treat you a bottle of champagne or the other way around. How about that?
being embarrassment is our shtick.
Embarrassing is your normal life now.
Exactly. Yeah. Our modus operandi.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
You're
it's a
now
stoic
out in the
principle.
open. So you're now naked.
There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh yeah. The other thing about this product is when you license it from us, it's you license it from us. And so if you're using it in your company, fine, you can get a license, you can use it. If in your company, if other people are going to use it, they got to pay for it. And but our whole process is tied to you, and so our security is tied to you personally. That's so the idea is that you can't copy it and spread it around.
Mhm.
But very reasonable in our pricing. So,
But the idea is to be able to copy and spread it around.
The result.
and then pay us.
Without breaking the security. you can
then-
surely just pass on product.
As many copies
No
as you
problem,
want.
just do it. Please do it. Make it
Viral.
viral, please.
But they can only use it for 30 days, and then they have to decide to pay us or not. You get 30 days to decide whether it's worth paying $5 a month.
Hey,
for.
Maarten, are you back again, or what are you doing?
I'm still here, but you don't have visual, I think.
No.
The other thing we have to point out, to anybody is that this isn't an add-in that you'd buy every user in your company, right? You'd only buy this for so many, or license this for so many people, the people who are really going to do this for real,
Yeah.
right? And that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, we have to wrap up. Maarten, are you there again?
I'm here. Do you hear me?
We hear you, but I don't see you.
I think my visuals are gone. So let's put in the music then, and you can all dance to it.
So please put your silencer on, and there it goes.
Here we go.
Put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Isn't that what you sing or something?
Something like that.
Whoa. Ooh, whoa. Thank you, my great friends.